Hello guys, we are going to talk about a fantasy thriller film called Look Away from 2018. A lot of interesting things are waiting for you. 17-year-old Maria is preparing to enter school. She lives with her parents, Dan and Amy, in a luxurious house, but life seems difficult for her because of her shy nature. Maria is not the most popular girl at school and is often made fun of by a boy named Mark. Her only friend Lily is a confident girl who has a boyfriend named Sean. Sometimes Maria finds herself envying her friend. Maria's parents are also worried about her alienation and have tried many times to convince her to go to the upcoming school prom, but to no avail. Unlike most stereotypical overprotective parents, Maria's father only cares about her appearance and social status. He really thinks that she is doing badly with this because of her disinterest in boys or any social activities. Maria is well aware of her parents' anxieties, and one day she sneaks into their room and tries to eavesdrop on their conversation. However, she stops abruptly when she notices something peeking out from behind the edge of the mirror. To her surprise, it is a strange image of the twins on an X-ray. One night, Maria is in the bathroom when suddenly her reflection stares at her intently, causing her to lose her balance and fall. She quickly gets up and wipes the steam off the mirror, gradually revealing her reflection. Much to Maria's horror, the reflection continues to move on its own, forcing her to run away in a panic. The next day, Maria tries to tell her parents about the incident, but as expected, they do not take her fears seriously. Later at school, Mark laughs at Maria again, tripping her and making her fall to the ground, and everyone around her laughs at her too. But to Maria's surprise, Sean shows up and helps her up. He even pushes Mark and warns him to stay away from her. This act of kindness is very impressive to Maria, because no one has ever stood up for her before. After school, she takes a bath, remembering her earlier encounter with Sean, but is disturbed by the sound of a baby crying. Memories of Maria's own birth flash through her mind, disturbing her peace. After that, she finds it difficult to sleep. Suddenly, a voice calls her name. Surprisingly, it is her own reflection in the mirror. At first, Maria is frightened, but later she gathers the courage to speak. The reflection calls himself Iram and claims to be the exact opposite of Maria, confident, charismatic, and dominant. The two of them talk for a while and discuss their likes and dislikes. The closer they get, the more Aram offers to help Maria overcome her problems and become more confident. The next day, Maria surprises her parents by announcing that she wants to go to the prom. Moreover, later in school, she expresses interest in learning to ice skate for the winter prom. That evening, Maria goes to her father's clinic to spend some time with him. Watching him get close to a female client, she suspects that he is having an affair. On the way back home, he asks her to visit him at the clinic tomorrow to get an early birthday present. When Maria shares this with her reflection, she is told that her father is a bad person who only cares about himself. Maria obviously doesn't believe this, so she defends her father by saying that he is planning to give her a car. The next day, however, her father surprises her with a surprise, and instead of a gift, he gives her a beauty treatment. He tells her that he wants to fix her unusually large ears and nose. This emotionally destroys the girl, and she finally realizes that Dan hates her imperfections. In the next scene, Aram comforts Maria and says that they can teach her father a lesson. She also points out that Amy is too weak to put up with Dan's bad behavior. During the conversation, Maria feels better, and the two girls laugh together. This attracts the attention of Amy, who asks Maria who she was talking to. When Maria is unable to answer, Amy begins to suspect that her daughter is using something illegal. Later, Amy shares her concerns with Dan, but he completely ignores the matter. Instead, he gives her a sleeping pill and puts some cosmetic cream on her face and then puts her to bed. Before she falls asleep, Amy mentions that her nightmares have returned, but he assures her that they will disappear, as they always do. The next day, Maria and Lily go to ice skating practice. Since Maria has never skated on ice before, she quickly falls. However, instead of helping her up, Lily rudely advises her to stay away from Sean. Upset that her only friend has begun to dislike her, Maria returns home and confides in Iram. She comforts her for a while and then explains that Lily is a bad influence on her and only cares about her popularity. Iram argues that she is Maria's true friend and the only person who can ease her pain. To achieve this, she offers Maria to trade places with her, giving up control over her own life. The bewildered teenager almost gives up and prepares to touch her reflection, but at that moment Amy appears and tells her that she is late for the prom. Startled, Maria quickly puts on her prom dress and rushes to school. Unfortunately, this turns out to be a bad decision, as she is overwhelmed by the noisy crowd, bright lights, and loud music. The girl is afraid of falling, and she can barely contain herself. She is about to walk away, but at the last moment Sean approaches her and holds out his hand, offering support. Maria gladly accepts, and the two of them go to the center and start dancing in each other's arms. Lily, who is standing nearby, watches and becomes jealous. She deliberately scares Maria, causing her to lose her balance and fall on the ice. Sean tries to help her, but Lily intervenes, preventing him from doing so. In addition, the bully Mark arrives at the scene and starts dragging Maria through the crowd. The other students just watch as she screams and begs for help, completely ignoring her feelings. When Mark finally stops, Maria runs out of the room, terrified. This is the last straw for her, and she decides to let Iram take control of her life. They touch each other with their hands and begin a process of transformation that resembles a strange dance. When it's over, Maria finds herself behind a mirror, and Iram is free to do as she pleases. Meanwhile, in the next room, Amy has a nightmare about the day she gave birth to Maria. She screams in excruciating pain. The next day, Aram goes to school and meets Mark in the hallway. She confidently walks up to him, grabs him in one place, and licks his ear, leaving him in shock. Lily soon approaches her, trying to show concern, but Iram sees right through her. Nevertheless, she continues to maintain a friendly relationship with Lily and asks her to teach her ice skating again. Later, Aram goes to her father's clinic, where she distracts the receptionist and steals the phone number of Dan's mistress. She arranges for Amy and Dan's mistress to arrive at the clinic at the same time. Iram's plan works, and Amy runs into her mistress in the elevator, and her heart breaks when she realizes that her husband is cheating on her. Meanwhile, at the ice rink, several students are gathering to practice. Iram lures Mark into the restroom and suddenly hits him in the knee with a hockey stick, causing him to fall to the ground in pain. Aram leaves him there to suffer. All the students go home, but Aram stays with Lily to practice ice skating. Suddenly, Aram starts skating like a professional, which surprises Lily. Then Aram is overcome with determination, and she starts stalking Lily with a creepy look in her eyes. Lily is scared and tries to run away, but she stumbles and hits her head on the hard floor. Aram just watches as Lily slowly dies from her injuries. After a while, Aram calls the police, reporting Lily's accident, pretending to be scared and worried about her friend. The reflection on the phone shows the real Maria crying. Later, Aram returns home and a detective comes to question her, but Amy convinces him to come back another time. In the bathroom, Maria asks Aram about the murder, but Aram replies menacingly that Lily deserved it. Hearing this, Maria is frightened and expresses her desire to switch places again, but Aram refuses, saying that she is not finished yet. It is then that Maria realizes that the name Aram is her own name, read backwards. The next scene shows Lily's funeral, where the detective expresses his condolences to Sean and meets Aram's eyes. The girl feels uncomfortable and is about to walk away, but Sean stops her and hugs her. Later that night, Aram secretly leaves the house to visit Sean. She enters his room, and he offers her something forbidden. While they are talking, Aram starts touching Sean, and soon they get to the most interesting part. The next day, Aram has dinner with his father. Dan is worried about her well-being after Lily's death, but Aram seems unaffected. It turns out that after the news of his affair broke, Dan has been trying not to come home. Aram asks him about his plans to reconcile with Amy, and he assures her that everything will be back to normal soon. After that, Aram starts acting strangely. She eats loudly and doesn't behave like a lady. This irritates Dan, and he orders her to behave properly. Aram reluctantly agrees, but her hatred for her father only grows. Over the next few days, Aram avoids school, convincing Sean to do the same. They check into a hotel to do something interesting again, but Sean receives a call from his mother, who informs him that the police want to question them. Alarmed, Sean is about to leave, but Aram refuses. When she tries to kiss him, it arouses suspicion, and Sean asks the girl why she is avoiding the police. Realizing that she has been exposed, Aram hits Sean over the head with a bottle, and he dies a few minutes later. Aram enters the bathroom, where he sees Maria sobbing hysterically. The two of them get close and support each other. Meanwhile, back at home, Amy has another nightmare. In her dream, it turns out that Maria had a deformed twin sister whom Dan decided to eliminate because he thought her life was meaningless. Aram turns out to be Maria's deceased twin sister. Back in reality, Aram shows up at Dan's clinic and rings the doorbell. She is weak and can barely stand. Dan carries her to the operating table and gives her a glass of water. But to his surprise, she begins to undress. Furious, he demands that she put her clothes back on, but Aram starts taking off the rest of her clothes. She then asks her father if he thinks she is beautiful. Dan reluctantly says that she is beautiful, but then she asks if he would love her just as much, even if she had some disadvantages. Dan agrees again, assuring her that he would love her unconditionally, despite any flaws. However, Aram does not believe him and quickly eliminates him forever. As he dies, an enraged Aram asks why he didn't love her in the past. She then calls out for Maria, but receives no answer, so she returns home and lies down next to a stunned Amy. The final scene ends with flashes of images of Dan holding both of his daughters in his arms. This symbolizes that Aram and Maria have become one person.